Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's BullCharts User Group webinar. For all BullCharts users, we're getting underway. Here's our disclaimer. Please remember, any information presented or discussed tonight is only opinion, not advice, and should not be acted upon. If you do make money, please let us know and come back and share it. Tonight, Phil has offered to talk to us about his Burtyy indicator, which he showed us briefly last month. And we looked at it last month and we thought, oh, this looks interesting. We should ask Phil to come back and tell us more about it and how he uses it. So Phil is happy to do that tonight. Now, I'll introduce Phil to those of you who don't know him. Phil has been participating in these user group webinars for quite some time now and is an experienced BullChart user and somewhat handy with script. And he's done a couple of presentations in the past. All of those are up in the Google Drive, and some of the material Phil's sharing tonight, including the script for his indicators and his BullChart scan, I'll be putting them up into Google Drive perhaps tomorrow. So look out for those, but Phil will describe them shortly. So Phil, it looks like you've got everything under control. Phil, I'll hand pass to you and make you feel very welcome. Everyone, please join with me in welcoming Phil to our session.
Right, just throw money, please. No applaud.
Good luck.
Good evening, everyone. Yes, I'll demonstrate 4 simple indicators tonight that show possible trend reversal upwards, existing trend strength, and possible trend reversal. I use them just as a weekly filter of the ASX 200. It's sort of a pre-selection tool, and I go on to look at my daily picks from this pre-selection. So it's just a filter, really. My aim is to try to eliminate downtrending shares with no signs of life that might waste my time and money. That I've been with a few of those over the years and wondered, what on earth did I get into that one for? And this hopefully will preclude that. This pre-selection is then my focus group for daily scans using indicators such as Go Score, which I presented a little while ago in the webinar archives. They're not default BullCharts indicators, apart from the Heikin-Ashi candlesticks. They're mainly my own terminology. And the 4 of them are what I call TIPI. There's 3 special Heikin-Ashi candlesticks. The 3rd one, Signs of Life, I call it, SOL. It's a combination of the first 2, the TIPI and the Heikin-Ashi, and the Burtyy, a sort of short-term Donchian channel. Robert, I say, will have all the coding for this. I'll show it you just as a screenshot tonight, but Robert will have it in the cloud later. Then I'll finish off with a scan, and I'm not sure whether I'll get the end of day data or the snapshot. We'll see later on. They can be used, the 4 indicators can be used in any time frame, but I'm showing you the weekly one. They can be calculated the night or the weekend before, so you can set alerts to include companies on a watch list, or you could just simply run them on the all ordinaries as a simple gauge of how bullish or bearish the market is. So the first one is what I call the TIPI. And here it's shown on the chart. The formula is there. I'll show you the formula in a little while, more fully. It's just yesterday's typical price, or the previous bar's typical price on a weekly basis. So historical typical 1. Typical is a BullCharts default function. And what I'm looking at, typical the formula for typical is the high, the low, and the close. You see that? The high, the low, and the close divided by 3, which produces this point here. And it's constantly calculated in this line and forwards. I'll go into a bit more detail with the formula now and then come back to this chart. So the formula that BullCharts uses for the typical, sort of like the average price of yesterday or the previous bar, the high, the low, the close divided by 3. It's a standard function. But I'm interested in the previous bar's typical price. I've called it Tippy with a Y on the end, just to stand for yesterday because it originated. I was using it on a daily basis. Tippy is not a standard function in BullCharts. It's my own terminology. There's the formula again, the previous bar's typical price. Can be calculated the night before. And I'm just basically interested in to see if the last price or the closing price today is above or below the previous bar's average price. That's the Tippy. So I'm interested whether the close here is above this line or below it. And I'm also interested where the low is on the chart as well. I'll have a look at the Tippy. My line chart is reflected here in the ribbon below, which I'll show you the coding for as well. I'll look at it in a bit more detail. Here it is. NAB weekly. If the closing price is completely, and the low is completely above the yesterday's or previous bar's typical price, I give it a dark green. If just the high is poking its head above the typical price, but the low is dragging its heels still below, it gets a light green shading. That's quite normal when you get a trend reversal that starts off low and then jumps during the day. And similarly, you can use it to look at the weakening of the price chart. When light green follows dark green, as in this instance here, where the low is just tipping its toes below the yesterday's typical price, the last week's typical price, just be cautious. You might want to lighten your load a little bit, but this, remember, this is just one of the 4 indicators I'm going to show you. So maybe don't just act on this one alone, although it does sometimes precede the other ones. This is the coding for the ribbon. Dark green, the close is above the Tippy, and the low is also. So it's moving up nicely. Light green, just simply the close is above, and the low may not be. Red ribbon, the close is less than the Tippy, and the high is also down as well. We'll look at that, go back and look at that in a minute. And there could be a reversal in the wings, or the pink is simply the close is below and the high is still stuck above. I'll just go back and maybe show you that again. You can see that this one here, the high there, that little point there, and the close down below here is well and truly below the Tippy. So that's why you get the red. Light green, the high is just tipping its head above the Tippy, poking its head above the Tippy, but the low is still below. Light green, then both the close and the low are above the tippy, so dark green and so on. Okay, I'll move on to the Heikin Ashi then. Next, the second of my, right. Just put yourself in a different frame of mind from the regular Japanese candlesticks at the top. Heikin Ashi, as Alec did a very good presentation a year or so ago on these. I think they're in the archives. And they take the noise out of your regular Japanese candlesticks at the top there. I'll show you the formula in a moment. I'm just interested in 3 of these Heikin Ashi candlesticks. The simple down bar, the red ones here. The simple up bar, the green ones here. And also a third one, this one here, I'll try and come in a bit more. It's a down bar, this one here, but it's got a high wick at the top there. Can you see that? And it is also following a straight down bar. High wick. It's just showing a bit of life in the stock. If you look at the actual regular candlesticks above here, you can see that's what the Heikin Ashi high wick is reflecting, that bit of activity there. There's another high wick here, you can see, high wick there, but it's following a Heikin Ashi up bar, a straightforward green up bar, so it doesn't get a score down here. It's just the light green here represents one of these high wick candlesticks. The green represents, the full light green represents up bars, and the pink down bars. Oh, well, I'll perhaps come back to, I'll just show you the formula for Heikin Ashi. Notice the underscore, see, that's the Heikin Ashi close, the underscore open. That's the symbol for the Heikin Ashi candlestick. The O, H, L, and C are the regular Japanese candlesticks. Don't know if that makes sense. So that's that's the formula for these Heikin Ashi candlesticks. Looking a little bit more closely at the ribbon, here's the formula for the ribbon. I've defined the Heikin Ashi candlesticks. Then the ribbon formula is Heikin Ashi close above Heikin Ashi open, light green, simple up bar. Light green, 50% light green. The Heikin Ashi close is down, but the high is above the open. We'll go back and have a look in a moment. And it's also following a straightforward down bar, Heikin Ashi down bar. And the last one is simple pink, it's a down bar. Just go back and look at those again so you see what we're talking about. Light green, got a high wick on it, and is also a down bar. These have got high wicks too, but they're green up bars. It just shows sort of a sign of activity coming into the picture with the light green. Sometimes like there as well, there's one. That's got a wick as well, but it's following a green up bar, whereas this one is following a down bar, straight down bar. Just be on your guard when you see these, maybe put them on the watch list or something. Right, we come to my third indicator now. I call it SOL, which stands for Signs of Life. And it's a combination of the tippy and Heikin Ashi. I'll show you the formula I use to combine them, to amalgamate the two into this. I've Sometimes the tippy precedes the Heiken Ashi, sometimes it's the other way around. So I combined them both using the BullCharts scoring feature, just to give me a clearer picture. And similarly, an early color change to light green from pink, as there, indicates sort of signs of life. There might be something happening up there. You can see it could either be that the tip is above the the close is above the tippy, or it could be that the Heiken Ashi is looking nice, looking an up bar. And similarly, if it changes from dark green, things have been going very, very well, and then suddenly things aren't going so well. I think that's because of the close, the low. I'll make that bigger. The close up there, the low is tipping its toes below the tippy. Don't mind the rhyming. And that's why it's deteriorating slightly. When that happens, just be on your guard. Maybe again lighten the parcel or put it on a watch list for caution. Let me do that there. Next, so this is the formula for the signs of life indicator, where I combine the tippy and the Heiken Ashi. I define both of those indicators I'm combining first of all, here and here, and then I use the BullCharts feature to score them, give each of them a score. I've called it Sol score, and this is the formula, equals 0 plus if the Heiken Ashi close above the open, 1 point, otherwise nothing. If it's one of those high wick ones, 1 point, otherwise nothing. If the close is above the tippy, 1 point or nothing. If the low is also there, an extra 1 point. So adding a score for each indicator's positive features. I think the maximum you can get, those two, the Heiken Ashi ones, both can't happen together. It's one or the other. But the tippy ones can occur together. The maximum you can get is 3, dark green, 2 for light green, and so on. 1 for light green, 40%. Otherwise, pink for nothing at all. That you can see here. Looking at the top line here, the signs of life. Okay. So, in a case like this, the Heiken Ashi is doing well, and so is the tippy. So it's dark green, and then a bit of doubt creeps in, probably because the tippy is just poking its toes below here a little bit. It's not the holy grail, of course. It's not perfect by any means. It's just another sort of arrow in your quiver to analyze the market. I use it, say, for pre-selections. And the final one of my indicators is the Burtyy, my Burtyy. I named it after one of my favorite chartists who had I don't know if I'm allowed to name him or not, am I? I don't know, Robert.
Yes,
Anyway.
no problem. You can do that.
Okay, yeah. Gary Burton. I highly respect his charting, and he has a experienced and very trained eye to look for significant tower candlesticks preceding trend reversals, and he treats the midpoint of these tower candlesticks, significant tall candlesticks, as support and resistance zones. But I was a little bit too lazy to pore over charts to be looking for these significant candlesticks all the time, so I've fudged it. to artificially create a tall candlestick, or at least a candlestick, usually a tall one. It's a bit like a Donchian channel, except the default Donchian channel, I think, is 20 bars or 30. And I think the Donchian channel is calculated, including the current bar. Mine is calculated from the previous bar. The first incarnation I had of the Burtyy was as a daily basis, so I chose the figure 5 as a default because it represented the previous 5 days in a week's trading. So as an illustration of it, these are the previous 5 bars where that arrow is there. Previous bar there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the low point of those 5 bars. That's the high point. Figures there. And the Burtyy is simply the midpoint. Add the two together, divide by 2, 32.75 at that point there. And so on, calculated all the way down here. It's just sort of looking at the midpoint of the previous 5 bars. And I like to see, in a good trend, I like to see it above the Burtyy. I treat the signs of life as a sort of precursor to sort of be on my guard sometimes, but I actually like to see it going above the Burtyy itself. And similarly to the other indicator I showed you, the light green is where the low is still sort of dragging its heels below the Burtyy, whereas the close is above. That gets light green. If both the close and the low are above, it gets the full green. If the close falls below, it turns to pink, and then it came in again there with the low below and the close above. Say, as I said, solid green here, like here, trending nicely above the Burtyy weekly chart. And here it's like sort of precedes a very nice trend. There it comes in normal activity. There's just the low is still below, and the buyers come in, and it closes above the midpoint of the last 5 bars. Right there. Here's the formula for the Burtyy. Quite simple, really. The line formula. I've given you a choice of input. I've gone for 5 because I originally used it as a weekly charting indicator, but it works quite nicely on the weekly as well. And the formula say the highest high of the last 5 days, or whatever you want to put in there, the lowest low, and then just divide the 2 and you get the Burtyy. Did Leonie have a question there? I just saw a name flash up.
Yes, Phil. Yes, Leonie's asked a question in the chat box. Does the 5 days before start again from the point, or is it by each day?
Yeah, each day it's that point there represents the midpoint of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars. That one there, that point there, yeah, that point there represents the midpoint of that one, and that one, and that one. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one's omitted, and these become the previous 5 bars. It's always looking at this line, green line here, is looking, always calculating the previous 5 bars.
Leonie,
great, thanks. Yeah,
no
thank
worries.
you.
Yeah.
That's great, Phil.
Yeah. What are we up to here? Oh, so I gave you, that's the actual formula for the Burtyy. And that's the formula for the ribbon below. Define the Burtyy again. Color right green. The close is above. The close is above and the low is above. The whole candlestick clearly above the Burtyy. Could be trending upwards. Light green, 50%. The close is simply above the Burtyy. The low isn't. That could represent the start of a reversal, the start of an up reversal. It comes at the beginning, or it could be the start, the end of the uptrend. The low is tipping its toes below the Burtyy. And the pink is that it's going nowhere. I try and stay clear of those. Just go back, have another quick look at it before I'm going to bring all four together in a moment. What are we on here? Oh, 10, yes. Right. I'm using the NAB for all of them, but we'll do a scan later on, and any requests you might have as well. Okay, I'll move on to show you them all together on the same chart. So, top line is the signs of life, which remember is a combination of these bottom two, the Tippy and the Heikin Ashi. Well, it's signs of life. And the second ribbon down is the Burtyy. The signs of life sometimes, well, often does precede the Burtyy, and you might want to get in at a moment like this, here, or at least put it on your watch list. But I like to see, so signs of life here, signs of life there. I like to see the Burtyy coming in as well. Like I say, it could also be a precursor. The signs of life could be the signs of death. You call it Sod, Sod's law. That it's deteriorating. It could be that the tip is below, the close is below, the low is below the tipping. Yeah, and then it does in fact decline there. Right, that's yeah, all of them. And okay, here's the coding for the oh, sorry, that's the scan, I think. Here's the coding for the Burtyy. Oh, I've done that one, yes. Right, hang on. Right, so then here's the scan I use to look for these types of combining the four indicators. That's the Burtyy definition, the Heikin Ashi definition, and the Tippy definition. And I'll show you both the signs of life score and the whole shebang at the end score. I'm including both in columns at the end here, you'll be able to see. That's the one you've seen before, the Sol score. I'll come back to that point in a minute. And this is where I put all four of them together here. If the Heikin Ashi is up, 1 point. If it's got one of those high wicks, 1 point. If it's closed above the Tippy, 1 point. If the low is above the Tippy, 1 point. If the close is above the Burtyy, 1 point. And if the I can see an error there. And also I like to see if they are freshly above the I give extra points for that. Like it could be I'm trying to spot the beginning of a trend. So if the close is above the Burtyy, and yesterday it wasn't here, close less than yesterday's Burtyy, I give it 1 point. So it's starting at afresh. And if the low is above the Burtyy and it wasn't yesterday or the day before or the bar before, I give it an extra point. And I'm looking for anything that's any points at all over this one. The main one is above 0. So anything that's showing any sort of signs of life at all. But you may not want to, the maximum you can score is 6. You may not want to look at all of them. And so you could alter that score there to say above 2. That above 0, you could make it above 2. And then they show up in the columns at the end. Perhaps I should just go on and demonstrate with a scan. I don't know. Okay, well, we're going to BullCharts live. I'm not quite sure. I'll just put it on daily for a moment. I'm just not quite sure whether it's updated or not. Oh, yes, it has. Yeah, 28. Jolly good. Right, we're in business. So I'll go back to weekly. Now, don't worry about that there. I'll perhaps choose another company to PhP, just to get rid of that writing. Right, so here's the scan. I'll give you the coding. Oh, you've got the coding. Yes, right. Here we go. Here it is, one I've just shown you. You can get rid of the squiggly lines there and replace them on the weekly and use it as a daily scan as well if you wish. I sometimes do both, the weekly then followed by the daily. Oh, just one little point here before I do the actual scan. Some of the astute viewers might notice that I put an F in the middle of the sol, the pure sol scan. In the one I showed you earlier on, it was SOLSC. And I find out sometimes when I've invented an indicator and I've put it in templates and scans and all sorts, it's quite logically, BullChart reads it as being established. You've established it as an indicator. And then you come to play about with it later on and alter some of the parameters, conditions. It reverts back to the one you've already established on your computer. And you get some false readings. So if ever you do produce scans of your own and something seems to be wrong, it could be that you've got a ghost in the machine because you previously defined it somewhere else. Okay, little point there. I'm using the ASX 100 just to make it run more quickly. We're doing for time. We've got plenty of time. Should I change it to 200?
Yeah, plenty of time, Phil. No problem.
Okay, I'll take that one off. I'll add the ASX 200. Of course, you can put the all ordinaries in there if you wish as well. Right, okay.
Not tonight.
It'll take, not tonight. It'll take about 40 seconds, I think. That's the top 200.
Phil, while it's running, you've showed us quite a reasonable amount of script tonight. So people might have questions about script. I think we should be able to accommodate questions about that if we want. And I should point out too, some people don't realize when a scan is running, on the left-hand side of the screen down towards the bottom in the in the border, there's a red stop button. Don't push it now, but if anyone
Oh, I see.
wants
Yes.
to stop a scan while it's running, you can just click on that. When
Ah,
the scan finishes, it changes from red to grey. So that's one way to
that's
stop
something.
a long-running scan.
Right. Thank you, Robert. That's something I just learned. Yeah. Okay. The scan's finished. 44 seconds. This is the whole 6-point scan. That was just the signs of life scan on the right there, if you're interested in that. And then what I do is I sort them by, I'll get rid of that, the best candidates first. So this is this week's rolling week. And I'll bring it up. Oh, we'll try that one. 5 points, IAG. I say this is just a pre-selection. I sometimes, I often do, eyeball these charts as I go through them and say, oh, that looks interesting, that looks interesting. But I actually just use this group here that I've got as a pre-selection. I will then look more closely at these weekly picks on a daily basis using my daily indicators. It just makes sure that it just helps me not to pick something that's, perhaps look at some of the rejects. ALX, I'll try ALX. What's that looking like? Probably make a liar out of me. Had got a bit of a sign of life, but mainly downwards. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, right. These are the best picks. Go down through them. That's looking quite nice there. 7. Burty's come in as well as the signs of life quite nicely. I would have, yes, the signs of life came in earlier on, and the Burtyy was showing a little bit that, well, obviously clearly was there. I would have waited till that point there to get in. Right. Yes, that came up in the, oh, there it is, it's there. It's already in the picks that came out in the scan. The weekly scan, it's been doing quite well for a few weeks. Came in there at that point with using this on the 22nd of April.
While you're looking, Paul has commented in the chat box an observation, but there are a few good short-term trades in amongst that list when the tip
Yes.
crosses above the Burtyy.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, that's what I use it for. I said to pre-select. What have I got? I can't remember there. How many were there? 70 or how many? How many in that list there? Oh,
104.
104 out of 200. I said that's just the sort of group I'm looking at that tend to be trending upwards. PPT, of course, it isn't in the group, and you can see it's trending downwards.
Phil, I've got a suggestion.
Doesn't get a mention.
How about
Stay away from it. Yes, sorry.
AWC?
AWC, okay. Going very nicely. Has been for a while. Came in here. 4th of December. Little bit of hesitation here. You might have lightened the load there. Well, Burtyy dropped out there. Came in again the following week when it recovered here. You could either lighten or use it as a stop loss even, but I say I focus on my day. Oh, well, we could look at this on a daily basis. I'll just change that to daily, and you can see how it works also on a daily chart. It's coming off a bit at the moment here on a daily basis, whereas on the weekly it was still moving upwards. But you might be able to get the dip or something. I don't know. Back to weekly. Yeah, looking at that period there, around about February, I'll perhaps look on a daily chart, AWC, around about February here. Wasn't doing too well. It dropped on a daily basis, came off there. The tippy was below. Heiken actually not doing much, but I say I like to see them sort of all guns firing before I even look at them as a jump in on a daily basis.
ORI, Orica?
Oh yes, right. Yes. A weekly basis here. The Burtyy faltered a bit here. Weekly on a daily basis. Just come off a little bit today. And it showed a bit of weakness here a few days ago. Oh, one other thing I meant to mention was these indicators don't have any volume in them at all. It doesn't take volume into consideration. So your own choice of indicators perhaps would supplement this to see how strong it is, and perhaps other indicators you might like as well. So just another arrow in the quiver, really, not the holy grail.
Phil, David here. Can you put in Paladin, PDM?
Yep. On the daily at the minute. That's daily.
Yeah, on the weekly. Weekly, yeah.
Yep. Right.
We had a few stops and starts, hadn't it?
Yes, yeah. Yes, it's up to one's discretion. I'm trying to avoid these pink bits here. Perhaps during that week there, those weeks there, it wouldn't have come up on my weekly pre-selection. So I wouldn't even have considered it. But I'm more a short-term trader. I know you like the 30 week, I think, is it, David?
Yeah, 20, 20 and 30, yeah.
Yeah. I also combined it with my rate of change high that I demonstrated a year or so ago, that I sort of take profits when they jump a bit, which sometimes is a bit premature and sometimes it's good. I've lightened the load, I've lightened the risk. That's basically how I use it. Better to confirm with your other indicators as well, but it's just something else to look at.
I think it's showing a lot of promise.
Oh, good. Thank you. Yeah.
But I guess my observation, looking at those charts in the current market, the last year or two there seems to be not too many cases where there are more than maybe 10 or 12 weeks of running with green and some flip-flopping. So it's difficult to pick anything long-term, but most of us then are all about the short-term anyway.
Yeah. And perhaps your other members have got like long-term indicators. perhaps focus on those. Or
Yeah.
Oh, what? Just one last thing I forgot to mention. You could use it as a simple use it on the AXO as simply to measure whether you think the market's bullish or bearish.
Yeah, like a market filter.
Yes, yeah. There you go. So it's doing okay on a weekly basis at the moment. These top two here.
Yeah.
Bit of weakness crept in here with the signs of life, but it's still above the Burtyy, the green line. Just mind you. Where are we? Oh, there we are. Oh, I obscured it with a finger. It's just above the Burtyy, both the low and the close. And maybe it'll go again.
Phil, very good,
Righto.
Phil. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This one. As Phil said before, the four indicators that is shown there, the script for them, I will be putting into the Google Drive, the user group Google Drive, for everyone to download and access. So look out for those in a day or two. And it's 9 o'clock. Very good. We've got a little bit of time left. Share trading game. Is anyone following the game or interested in participating in the game? As I said, we've got our Melbourne group participating. And here's the live screen. Daily change. This is as at Saturday. I need to refresh the screen. Let's see if it'll do that. Dun, 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 dun.
You'd have taken a bit of a hammering today because Boss Energy had took a big dive. Yeah.
Portfolio
So that's on
value
you.
45,000. Boss Energy down 195. Not as much as Kogan, down 2,000.
Robert, can you show us what the best people are doing or not? You're not privy to that.
No, we can look at the top 100. As at the latest ranking here was Monday. It says there, Monday 27th. So it's yesterday. They're always a day behind. So the game leader, number one, is currently Galiso with $68,000 portfolio value, increased from 50. Now,
can you see what's in his portfolio or not?
No, I don't think so. No, we can't.
I know.
We can scroll down because this is the top 100 in the game, and if we go down to the bottom, the 100th ranked player has got a portfolio value of 57,000. So they've increased their 50,000 over March, about 2 months. They've increased it only $7,000.
Yeah, that's pretty indicative of the market at the moment, huh?
It is. Yep, and if you even go up to 50, position number 50 here, they're 59,000. And up near the top, so the game leader, as I said, is 68,000. And the top few, 65, 64, 63, 60, down about 62. There's 5,903 people playing the game. The average participant value is 50,595. 57% of players are in profit. So our own portfolio, view my portfolio. Our BullCharts one, there it is. I'm thinking we should sell Kogan forthwith. I can't remember who wanted to buy it. How many are there? 610. Let's sell that tomorrow. 610. At market, submit order. That'll be gone tomorrow. Order not filled due to insufficient funds. Did I say sell? I did. Yep. Oh, we can't buy min. We'll buy that tomorrow. I think I submitted that last week after the Melbourne meeting. If anyone has any suggestions for stocks to buy or sell in the game, by all means, let me know. Happy to add them in. If we don't have enough funds, we can sell off a little bit of all of the others. We can rebalance and free up some funds. But at the moment, we've got a total of $45,000 available to us, roughly. Of course, if we sell all these holdings now, we've got to pay whatever the brokerage rate is. I can't remember now. It used to be 20. I think it's less. Anyway, that's the game. BullCharts tips, questions or features. Are there any questions about something in BullCharts, features that don't seem to work, or something you've found, or a question about how to do things? And no questions are silly. No? No questions.
Oh, Robert, I've just got observations about Philip's presentation, which was really good, I thought.
Yep.
Just looking at it, the way he's calculated his formulas, they're basically averages of averages. So that's why it's got a nice smoothing effect, and he takes a lot of noise out of the chart. So when you're comparing his chart above to the Heikin-Ashi below, which does the same thing, it's pretty obvious why they sort of match each other. And so whether you go that way or whether you just put a moving average on that Heikin-Ashi, I think you're going to get a similar result. It's just a matter of which visual you like, but it seems to mirror that Heikin-Ashi very similarly, because they're both using midpoint averages in their calculations. Yeah. Okay. So I think, very, very good, Phil.
Yeah. Just to fill in time, what I was about to mention is that on my BullCharts window here, I have got my indicator toolbar across the top here that I've added a lot of indicators to. And down the bottom, I've got my template toolbar that I've added lots to and appropriately colored some of them. And I've got a workspaces toolbar. And I've stopped where they are at about there. Stopped about here, because on my other monitor, which isn't as wide as this one, I've run out of space. But for anyone who has indicators that they use frequently or templates that you call up a lot and you don't have them on a toolbar, it's easy to add them to a toolbar. I just thought I'd mention that while we've got a lull in proceedings.
I have a question, if you wouldn't mind popping back to that screen you just had.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure I'm doing something wrong, but with the workspace, which, have I got this right? Yeah, where you've got WWL6, yeah. I've got a screen that shows me the XAO or the XJO, it doesn't matter what, in 3 versions, weekly, daily, monthly.
Yeah.
But when I try to go back to my templates, it just replaces one of the workspace ones. So how do I get from the workspace back to the template without having to change it all? Does that make sense? Probably not.
No. Don't forget that a template applies to one chart. So in this one chart that I've got here that's currently not maximized, I can quickly change it to, say, my version of Stan Weinstein's chart, weekly with 30-week moving average. I can change that chart to one that shows momentum. I can change it to one that shows the Guppy multiple moving average.
Okay, so what I have to do is actually put a default workspace in if I want to move from a 4-screened panel to 1 screen. That's what I have
Okay,
to do.
so
That's what I have to do. Yeah.
if you, so that the templates are for one chart. I've
Yeah.
got, let's use this workspace. I've got a workspace that defines several different charts. And the way I use the workspaces, it's different to a template because a template can only apply to one of these individual charts.
Yep. Okay, that's what I've forgotten. Yep.
Does that help?
Yes, that does. Thank you. I'll just have to create a default workspace to get back.
Okay. The other thing I can show while we're here is if I turn IntelliCharts on, I've got this workspace that pulls up all of many, not all, many of the overseas indexes. And it takes a moment to fill the screen. This is how I quickly have a look at what's happening without going out to stockcharts.com. So I can scroll in these and have a look at what's happening, changing the candles. So the Dow hit 40,000 last week, was in the news, and it's fallen away heavily since. Oh, there's the FTSE. FTSE's doing pretty good. CAC, DAX, and the Nikkei. So for me, that's a workspace. If I make any changes here, it automatically gets saved and I can close the workspace, file, close workspace. And all of the changes get saved in IntelliCharts. Are there any questions about templates or workspaces while we're at it? And IntelliCharts, I turn it off. I don't like it on. No? So there's no questions about other things in BullCharts, features, how do we do things? And how did we find the script that Phil was showing us tonight? Was that relatively easy to follow? Does anybody want to explore that script some more, maybe in a future session? While you think about that, we've got a couple of minutes where I'm happy to show trades that you have made, if you're happy to share a trade, a winner or a loser, and explain to us why you selected it or why it didn't work in hindsight or going forward. Any suggestions for stocks? Something you've traded? No. Okay. Any general business? You may Google Drive. If anyone wants access and they don't have it, or they did have it and they can't find it, let me know. We can reinstate that. That's not an issue. Any tips, books you're reading, seminars of interest? We used to have lots of books and seminars talked about pre-COVID many years ago, but I think technology is supplanting a lot of them now. I must change
I'm
that.
currently reading.
Yep.
I'm currently reading Trading in the Zone, and I'm finding it fantastic.
That's Van Tharp,
Mark
isn't
Davidson.
it? Who?
No, Mark Davidson.
Oh.
Trading in the Zone.
Yep. And you found it?
I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, really? When did you get that one?
Daryl Nagel sent it to me, and
Oh, right.
And
I mentioned the
yeah.
webinar earlier in the week. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Right.
Oh, well, he sent it to me ages ago, but I've just been slowly plowing my way through it. But yes, it's all about the mental aspect of trading, and then Colin Simpson did a talk on Monday.
That's right. Yeah, that's the one.
To the Sydney chapter, and he based his talk on that same book. So it was a bit of a double whammy of reinforcement.
Very good.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to get hold of it.
Mental aspects of trading. Yes, can be challenging. Any other comments? We're about to wind up the session. Last minute input, feedback, whatever. Our next session will be in about 4 weeks on Tuesday, June 25. Tuesday, June 25. And what we'll do as I said earlier, in the Melbourne webinar next month, we'll hopefully play the recording I've done tonight of PhilH's Burtyy indicator with some editing as required. And in this webinar session next month, we can talk about experiences with brokers, the best ones to use or those to avoid, and the pitfalls and traps to watch out for. So we can look forward to that in the webinar next month. All right, everyone, we'll call it quits there. I better stop recording. And